The horizon stretches endlessly, a canvas of shifting sands and stone that seems to breathe with the pulse of the earth itself. The Gobi Desert is no ordinary wilderness. It is an ocean of land where each grain of sand carries the memory of survival. The wind howls across barren ridges, sculpting dunes into towering giants that move silently, like restless titans reshaping the land. Mirage pools shimmer in the distance, false promises of water in a world where thirst is the fiercest predator of all. Here, the sun reigns supreme. By day it blazes mercilessly, its rays piercing through the thin desert air with a white-hot intensity that turns rock to fire. By night the temperature plunges without warning, freezing the very ground where just hours earlier the heat had burned. It is a land of extremes, where life is not promised but earned, day after day, heartbeat by heartbeat. Across this vast expanse, the signs of struggle are written everywhere. In the ghostly footprints trailing across the sand, marks left by creatures whose lives balance on a knife's edge. In the silent skeletons of shrubs, twisted by centuries of wind, still holding the soil for those that may come after. And in the storm itself, when walls of dust rise without warning, blotting out the sky in an avalanche of grit and fury. When the storm breaks, silence returns, and under the vast desert moon the Gobi transforms once more. Silver light spills across jagged cliffs and salt plains, illuminating the hidden life that dares to emerge in the darkness. Jerboas leap through the shadows, their long tails balancing every bound. Bats flicker across the sky, tracing invisible trails above the dunes. In the stillness, a wolf's distant howl echoes, a reminder that even in the quiet, danger waits. It is here in this unforgiving land that some of the world's most remarkable survivors make their stand. From the mighty Bactrian camel, able to drink salt water where others would perish, to the elusive snow leopard, a phantom of stone and silence that rules the mountains, each creature is a testament to adaptation, endurance, and willpower. Every moment in the Gobi is a test. To find food where there is none, to find water in a place where rivers vanish underground, to endure heat that can scorch and cold that can kill. For the animals of this desert, survival is not a privilege. It is a daily battle against the odds. And yet, against all reason, life thrives. This is not just emptiness, not just silence. The Gobi Desert is alive with secrets, waiting for the wind to reveal them, waiting for the patient eye to notice. This is the Gobi Desert. Welcome to one of the harshest wildlife kingdoms on Earth. In the Gobi, life is always moving toward one inevitable moment: confrontation. This is a land where predator and prey are locked in an endless duel, each encounter echoing the fragile balance between survival and extinction. Every chase, every ambush, every heartbeat can decide the fate of an entire species. High in the stony ridges, the snow leopard prowls, silent as shadow. Its thick spotted coat blends seamlessly with the fractured cliffs, a masterwork of camouflage perfected over millennia. Below, a herd of Siberian ibex clings to the rocks, their curved horns rising like living monuments against the desert sky. The ibex graze cautiously, muscles taut, every twitch betraying an ancient awareness. Death is always watching. The leopard crouches, body coiled like a spring, eyes fixed on a young ibex, lingering too far from the herd. It moves with deliberate patience, each step measured, each paw placed in silence. Then a rush of power, a blur of fur and muscle launching down the slope. The herd scatters in an explosion of hooves and dust, the air filled with the frantic clatter of stone and fear. For the leopard, success means survival. For the ibex, escape means another day in this unforgiving land. But danger is not confined to the mountains. On the open steppe, another drama unfolds. Packs of gray wolves drift across the plains, their eyes scanning the horizon for movement. They are endurance hunters, built not for speed but for stamina, wearing down their prey with relentless pursuit. Ahead, A cluster of goitered gazelles grazes nervously. Their long legs are built for flight. Their only defense is the open distance between predator and prey. The wolves close in, spreading out like shadows merging with the land. A signal passes through the pack, silent, instinctive. Then chaos erupts. The gazelles burst into motion, leaping and bounding, their bodies flowing like liquid over the desert floor. Sand sprays beneath their hooves as they veer and twist, desperate to break free. Behind them, the wolves surge forward, tireless, calculating, waiting for the weak to falter. For the gazelle, every turn is a gamble, every stride a plea for survival. For the wolves, it is the difference between hunger and the chance to feed their young. In the Gobi, there is no cruelty, no malice, only the raw law of survival. The hunter must eat, and the hunted must escape. These confrontations are not rare spectacles. They are the very rhythm of the desert, the heartbeat of life in a world that offers little mercy. From the smallest pika fleeing the talons of a golden eagle, to the great herds pursued by wolves, every creature is both predator and prey, each moment a test of instinct, endurance, and luck. Here, in the Gobi Desert, survival is written in the dust, in the chase, and in the silence that follows. Stretching across two great nations, southern Mongolia and northern China, the Gobi Desert is one of the largest and most formidable landscapes on Earth. Covering over 1.3 million square kilometers, it is a realm of contrasts. Barren gravel plains colliding with seas of dunes, jagged mountains giving way to salt flats, valleys, and dry riverbeds that whisper of ancient waters long vanished. From horizon to horizon, the land shifts in color and texture, a patchwork quilt stitched by time and weather. The climate here is as merciless as the land itself. Summers bring blistering heat, where temperatures soar beyond 40 degrees Celsius, baking the earth until it cracks like shattered glass. In winter, the desert transforms into a frozen kingdom. Blizzards sweep across the plains, and the mercury plummets to -40. The same soil that once scorched now freezes solid, turning the desert into an icy wasteland where survival is measured in minutes. Few places on Earth endure such extremes, where fire and ice trade dominion with every passing season. Rainfall is rare, and when it does come, it falls like a fleeting gift. Clouds gather on the horizon, unleash their burden in sudden torrents, and then vanish just as swiftly. Within hours, water seeps into the thirsty ground, leaving little trace behind. Rivers appear only briefly, born in storms and lost to sand. The Gobi is not defined by abundance but by scarcity, where every drop of water, every blade of grass, carries the weight of survival. Vegetation is sparse, yet it holds the fragile web of life together. Saxaul trees, gnarled and resilient, dig their roots deep into hidden reserves. Stubborn shrubs and grasses cling to existence, their leaves tough, their growth measured in survival rather than beauty. In this place, a single patch of green is not just scenery, it is a sanctuary, feeding herds of gazelle, shielding insects, anchoring the soil against the ever-hungry wind. And yet, despite its reputation for emptiness, the Gobi is far from lifeless. This desert has been a cradle of discovery, its soil revealing dinosaur fossils that once shook the world. It is a place of shifting sands, but also of deep history, where the echoes of ancient caravans and Silk Road traders linger still. To the eye of a traveler, it may appear barren, but for those who call it home, for the camel, the wolf, the snow leopard, the gazelle, the Gobi is alive, offering both peril and possibility. Life here is not scattered at random. It is carved into the land itself, every creature finding its niche in a mosaic of survival. Yet against all odds, life here flourishes. Across the endless expanse of the Gobi, one creature towers above all others, the legendary Bactrian camel. With its twin humps rising like desert peaks against the horizon, it is the undisputed monarch of survival in this unforgiving land. These camels are not just animals. They are endurance-made flesh, living testaments to resilience where almost nothing else endures. Unlike their one-humped relatives, the dromedaries of Arabia, the Bactrian camels of the Gobi are sculpted for extremes. Their humps are not filled with water, as myth often claims, but with fat, precious reserves of energy to be burned when food vanishes. Their long eyelashes shield against storms of stinging sand. Nostrils close like shutters to keep out dust. Their feet, broad and padded, spread like natural snowshoes, carrying them over shifting dunes and rocky plains with equal ease. But perhaps their most astonishing adaptation is their relationship with water. In a land where rivers vanish underground and rainfall is a rumor, the wild Bactrian camel can drink what no other mammal dares: salt water, brackish pools so alkaline they would poison almost any other creature. Here, at the edge of survival, the camel thrives by embracing what others cannot. They are wanderers by necessity. Migration is their way of life. Herds drift across hundreds of kilometers, guided not by maps but by memory, ancestral knowledge passed down in instinct. They follow the rhythm of the desert, searching for scattered grazing lands in summer, and retreating toward shelter when the cruel winds of winter howl across the steppe. For weeks they can survive without drinking, their bodies conserving every drop, their endurance unmatched. For nomadic people, the camel has been more than a beast of burden. It has been a partner in survival. Since the time of the Silk Road caravans, Bactrian camels have carried traders, goods, and stories across continents. Their strength forged empires of commerce. Their patience stitched together cultures. In Mongolia and China, they remain central to life, providing transport, milk, and wool, sustaining both families and traditions. But beyond their role in human history, the wild Bactrian camel stands on the knife's edge of survival. Only a few thousand remain in the wild, scattered in remote corners of the Gobi and Xinjiang deserts. They are ghosts of an ancient lineage, sharing this land with snow leopards and wolves, their numbers dwindling under the pressure of poaching, habitat loss, and encroaching industry. Each wild herd that endures is a fragile victory, a reminder of how thin the thread of survival has become. Graceful, fleet, and endlessly alert, the gazelles of the Gobi embody the desert's paradox. Fragile in appearance, yet forged by survival. Two species rule these windswept plains, the goitered gazelle and the Mongolian gazelle. Their lives unfold across a stage of vast emptiness, where danger lurks at every horizon and speed is the only salvation. The goitered gazelle, named for the swelling that appears on the throats of males during the rutting season, is a master of endurance. With slender legs built for distance and lungs that draw deep from the dry air, these antelopes can race across the steppe at over 60 kilometers an hour. When predators strike, wolves, eagles, even snow leopards straying onto the plains, the goitered gazelle does not fight. It flees, its body exploding into motion, weaving and bounding in sudden arcs that turn the desert into a blur of tan and dust. The Mongolian gazelle, smaller but no less determined, lives in vast herds that stretch like shifting tides across the horizon. Numbering in the hundreds of thousands, these migrations are among the largest remaining movements of wild ungulates on Earth. From a distance, they appear as a living wave, flowing across the open steppe, scattering in panic when danger strikes, then reforming, bound by instinct and survival. For both species, water is a luxury rarely seen. Instead, they draw sustenance from the sparse vegetation that dots the desert floor, shrubs, grasses, and the brief green flush that follows summer rains. Their bodies are finely tuned to conserve moisture. They feed at dawn and dusk, when the air is cool, avoiding the withering heat of midday. Their kidneys concentrate what little water they consume, allowing them to endure days without a single drink. But survival is not only about endurance, it is about vigilance. A gazelle is never at peace. Every flick of the ear, every twitch of the tail is a signal, an unspoken language warning of threats. One wrong step, one moment of carelessness, and the desert will claim another life. And yet, for all their fragility, gazelles transform the barren Gobi into a living stage of drama. Picture them at full sprint, a herd erupting into flight as wolves give chase, their hooves drumming a rhythm across the plains, the air alive with dust and tension. The strongest leap ahead, the weakest fall behind, and in that chase the eternal cycle of predator and prey plays out once more. In quieter moments, the sight is no less breathtaking. A herd grazing under the rising sun, their silhouettes shimmering against the desert haze. Calves standing close to their mothers, testing their first unsteady steps on ground that knows no forgiveness. The desert may be harsh, but here, life persists, delicate yet defiant. High above the plains, where jagged cliffs rise like broken teeth against the sky, lives a predator so rare and mysterious that it has earned the name the Ghost of the Mountains. The snow leopard, apex hunter of the Gobi's rugged highlands, is more shadow than substance, seen by few, known by even fewer. To glimpse one is to witness a fleeting miracle. Built for stealth, the snow leopard is nature's perfect phantom. Its pale spotted coat mirrors the granite slopes, dissolving its outline into stone and shadow. A long tail, thick as a rope, and nearly as long as its body, provides balance on treacherous ridges. Its paws are wide and fur-covered, pressing softly into snow and scree, leaving almost no trace. This is a predator that moves not with haste, but with silence. Every step a calculated act of patience. Its prey is the Siberian ibex, the wild goat of the mountains. The ibex is built for escape, powerful legs, horns sweeping back in crescents, an ability to bound across cliffs where no human could follow. Yet even here, on the steepest ledges, the snow leopard is at home. It waits, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, hidden in a fold of rock, eyes fixed on a single animal. Then, with explosive force, it strikes. A blur of muscle and fur leaps down the slope, gravity turned into a weapon. The ibex bolts, hooves clattering against stone, but the leopard is faster. In one astonishing bound, it can leap nearly 10 meters, closing the distance in an instant. Dust rises, echoes crack across the canyon, and in a heartbeat, predator meets prey. For the leopard, this kill is not just food, it is survival for her cubs, hidden somewhere among the cliffs, waiting for her return. But behind the beauty of this hunt lies a fragile truth. The snow leopard's population in the Gobi is perilously small. Perhaps only a few hundred remain, scattered across vast, inhospitable ranges. Each individual is a treasure, each sighting a rarity. Poaching, loss of prey, and conflict with herders threaten their existence, pressing this ghost closer to vanishing. Across the windswept plains of the Gobi, shadows move with purpose. They are not lone wanderers, but families bound by instinct and blood. These are the gray wolves of the desert, powerful, cunning, and relentless. Where gazelles graze and smaller creatures dare the open steppe, wolves follow, their presence shaping every heartbeat of life on these plains. Unlike the stealthy snow leopard that hunts alone, wolves rely on the strength of the pack. Family bonds form the core of their survival. A dominant pair leads, while their offspring, yearlings and pups, move in tight formation, learning the art of endurance from every chase. Communication flows constantly, carried by body language, ear flicks, and the haunting chorus of howls that echo across the night. These calls are not just signals, they are declarations. This land is claimed, this pack endures. Hunting in the Gobi requires patience and persistence. Wolves are not sprinters, they are distance runners. They spread across the horizon, fanning out to test a herd of gazelles probing for weakness. The chase begins not in a sudden burst, but in a relentless pursuit, a pressure that wears down the strongest legs until one falters. Once the prey stumbles, the pack closes in, coordinated and merciless. In these moments, survival is not about strength alone, it is about unity. Each member has a role, and together they succeed where one would fail. But the wolf's appetite does not end with wild prey. In a land where nomadic herders move their flocks of goats, sheep, and horses across the steppe, the boundary between wild and domestic blurs. A hungry pack may circle close to a camp, testing its defenses. Livestock are easier targets than swift gazelles, and when a wolf seizes an opportunity, conflict erupts. For herders, every animal is survival too, every loss a wound to their way of life. Retaliation is swift, and for the wolves, it is often deadly. This tension has endured for centuries, wolf against man, predator against protector. And yet within Mongolian culture, wolves occupy a complex place. They are feared as raiders, but also revered as symbols of endurance and strength. Legends tell of wolves guiding ancestors across harsh lands, their howls woven into the fabric of the steppe. The wolves of the Gobi are not villains nor heroes. They are survivors, navigating a landscape where choices are limited, where hunger drives risk, and where family bonds hold them together against the desert's cruel indifference. When the scorching sun dips beneath the horizon, the Gobi Desert undergoes a transformation. What looked barren and silent by day suddenly comes alive with tiny creatures, each adapted to endure where larger animals might falter. These are the desert's small but fierce survivors, the jerboas, pikas, and hedgehogs, fragile in size yet critical to the balance of life. From the sand emerges the jerboa, a creature that looks like nature's playful experiment. Mouse-like body, kangaroo legs, and an impossibly long tail used for balance. With leaps that can span up to 3 meters, jerboas bound across the dunes under the moonlight, dodging predators with astonishing agility. They never drink water. Instead, they extract every drop of moisture from the seeds and plants they consume, proof that in the Gobi, ingenuity is as valuable as strength. Meanwhile, on the stony slopes and alpine meadows, pikas scurry among the rocks. These small, rabbit-like mammals are tireless gatherers, collecting grasses and herbs throughout the summer, drying them in the sun and storing them in hidden caches to survive the long, brutal winter. To the untrained eye, their squeaks might seem insignificant, but to the Gobi's predators, it is a signal that prey is near. Snow leopards, foxes, and raptors depend on these little survivalists as a steady food source, making the pika one of the unsung pillars of the desert's food chain. And then there are the hedgehogs, tiny nocturnal warriors clad in spines. By day, they burrow deep into the sand to escape the heat. By night, they emerge to feast on insects, small reptiles, and even scorpions, immune to venom that would kill most creatures many times their size. In a land of extremes, even the smallest predator must be fierce. Together, these mammals form the invisible scaffolding of the Gobi's ecosystem. They are prey for owls swooping silently in the dark, for foxes prowling the steppe, for wolves teaching their pups the first lessons of the hunt. Without them, the chain would collapse. Their survival ensures the survival of the giants. As dawn breaks over the vast Gobi, the desert sky becomes a stage for some of its most formidable hunters. Silent wings carve through the thin air, eyes sharper than any blade, senses tuned to the faintest movement on the ground. These are the raptors, the golden eagles and saker falcons, apex predators of the sky, sovereign rulers of the open expanse. The golden eagle is a masterpiece of evolution, wings stretching over 2 meters, talons powerful enough to pierce through flesh and bone, vision so acute it can spot a hair from over 2 kilometers away. With the patience of an assassin, it circles high above the ridges, scanning for weakness. A sudden shift, a shadow on the plain, and then it dives. The stoop is pure violence disguised as grace, a controlled fall at more than 240 kilometers per hour. In an instant, a young gazelle calf feels the crushing weight of talons that have gripped countless victims across centuries. The kill is swift, merciless, yet essential. The saker falcon, slightly smaller, is no less deadly. Built for speed, it streaks across the desert skies in pursuit of smaller mammals and birds. Its strikes are surgical, designed not for drawn-out struggle but for precision and efficiency. But in the Gobi, these raptors are not just wild hunters. They are legends interwoven with human culture. For thousands of years, Mongolian nomads have partnered with golden eagles in a tradition known as falconry. Draped in furs, mounted on horseback, the Kazakh eagle hunters ride into the steppe with their avian companions perched on their arms. These birds, trained from youth, launch into the air at their master's call, diving onto foxes and hares with unmatched precision. It is a bond forged in respect, strength, and survival, a living link to ancient ways of life. The eagle's shadow sweeping across golden dunes, a falcon exploding downward in a blur of feathers, a nomad lifting his arm as a massive bird returns, talons still red from the hunt. Among the sparse grasses and scattered shrubs dwell some of the desert's most stately and resilient avians, the great bustards and sand grouse. Though grounded for much of their lives, these birds are far from defenseless, their every movement a dance of survival in a world that tolerates no weakness. The great bustard is a monument of elegance and power. Males, adorned with striking plumage during the mating season, perform courtship displays that rival the spectacle of any predator's strike. They puff out chests, spread wings like sails, and strut across the plains, muscles tensing with every deliberate step. It is both a show of vitality and a challenge, signaling to females their strength, stamina, and survival prowess. Yet beneath the spectacle lies a constant tension. The desert's heat is relentless, and every display is a careful balance of energy expenditure and survival. Females, smaller and more discreet, are the architects of the next generation. They select nesting sites in shallow depressions, often hidden among sparse vegetation or rocky outcrops. Here, under the unyielding sun, they lay their eggs, relying on camouflage and vigilance to protect them from foxes, raptors, and other predators. The desert is not forgiving. A single misstep or distracted glance can spell disaster. In these moments, patience and precision determine life itself. Sand grouse, smaller and more nimble, are the desert's water bearers. These birds undertake remarkable journeys, flying vast distances to reach water holes while carrying moisture-soaked belly feathers back to their chicks. Their survival is a careful choreography of timing and endurance. Each morning, as the sun begins its climb, they lift from the plains in synchronized flight, a living testament to adaptation. Their presence may seem unassuming, yet these birds sustain countless young lives and, in turn, support predators that rely on the abundance they bring. As seasons shift, the skies and shallow wetlands of this vast land welcome an astonishing parade of migratory birds. Cranes, ducks, and countless other species traverse thousands of kilometers, relying on the Gobi as a critical stopover in their epic journeys. For a brief moment, abundance blossoms in a landscape defined by scarcity. The red-crowned crane, a symbol of grace and longevity, touches down on isolated lakes and marshes, spreading its wings like a brushstroke across the horizon. Its long legs step delicately through shallow water, searching for fish, amphibians, and insects. Around it, flocks of ducks wheel in synchrony, their calls echoing across the quiet desert, signaling both presence and warning. For the first time in months, predators sense opportunity. Foxes, eagles, and wolves draw near, alert to the temporary wealth of life that has arrived. Yet this abundance is fleeting. The wetlands that sustain these migratory visitors are fragile, their water levels dictated by seasonal rains that may arrive early or late, in torrents or not at all. As the sun climbs high, the shallow pools shrink, the mud cracks, and the once plentiful food disappears almost overnight. Birds must feed efficiently, refuel, and move on, or perish. The Gobi, even as a sanctuary, is never forgiving. This tension between bounty and scarcity shapes every interaction. A crane feeding alongside a flock of ducks must remain alert, balancing hunger against the threat of predation. Fledgling birds rely on the protective presence of their elders, mimicking movements, learning to detect danger, and timing their flights with split-second precision. It is a symphony of survival, orchestrated in the delicate balance between predator and prey, life and death. In Mongolia, witnessing flocks of cranes descending onto desert lakes is a spiritual experience, a reminder of the cycles that govern all life. It is also a signal of environmental health. When migratory birds thrive, it suggests the desert's wetlands are still functional, supporting not only the travelers of the sky, but the myriad of creatures that depend on these scarce oases. Thousands of birds taking flight at dusk, their silhouettes cutting across a burning orange sky. Wetlands shimmer with reflected light as cranes stretch their wings, and the quiet plains vibrate with the flutter of wings and the haunting calls of long journeys completed and yet unfinished. In that moment, the desert is no longer empty. It is alive, full of motion, purpose, and fleeting abundance. Yet as quickly as they arrive, the migratory visitors depart, leaving the desert once more to its harsh, unyielding stillness. Some of the most important players in this ecosystem are the scavengers, vultures, crows, and other opportunistic feeders who ensure that nothing in this harsh land goes to waste. They occupy a vital niche, cleaning the plains and preventing the spread of disease, while also providing a stark reminder of life's cyclical nature. Vultures, with wingspans reaching over 2 meters, patrol the skies with remarkable precision. From high above, they scan the desert floor for the faintest sign of a carcass. Their eyesight, adapted to detect subtle contrasts from hundreds of meters away, allows them to locate the remnants of animals that fell to predators or perished from hunger and exhaustion. Once spotted, vultures descend with controlled efficiency, their bare heads and strong beaks perfectly suited for tearing through tough hides. Crows, smaller but equally resourceful, navigate the desert in search of opportunities. They follow wolves and other predators, knowing that leftovers from a kill are a guaranteed meal. Crows are intelligent and adaptable, often scavenging in groups and using cooperative strategies to access hard-to-reach food. Their calls echo across the plains, announcing discoveries and establishing territories among scavengers. Through their activity, these creatures embody the principle that life in the Gobi is interconnected. Every predator, every prey, every herbivore that falls contributes to a complex web of survival. Scavengers recycle energy back into the ecosystem, sustaining themselves while indirectly supporting the continued existence of plants and animals that depend on nutrient-rich soil. In this way, death is not an end, but a continuation, an essential process that feeds the living. Adaptations such as strong beaks, sharp talons, acute vision, and intelligence are not luxuries, they are necessities. These animals thrive where others might starve, proving that resilience comes in many forms. Nomads understand that vultures and crows are indicators of environmental health. Their presence signals the availability of carrion, the state of prey populations, and the overall balance of the ecosystem. Beneath the Gobi's shifting sands and among its sun-scorched rocks, a quieter drama unfolds, one that requires patience, precision, and extraordinary adaptation. Here live the desert's cold-blooded survivors, snakes and lizards, creatures whose methods of survival are subtle but lethal. Among them, the Gobi pit viper and the toad-headed agama exemplify the ingenuity of life in extreme conditions. The Gobi pit viper is a master of ambush. Its mottled scales blend seamlessly with the desert gravel, rendering it nearly invisible to both prey and predator. During the day, it burrows shallowly beneath the sand, waiting in patient stillness. Its heat-sensing pits detect the body warmth of passing rodents or lizards, triggering a strike executed with lightning speed. Its venom, potent yet precise, immobilizes prey almost instantly, ensuring that the energy expended in the hunt is efficiently rewarded. In a land where meals are scarce and the sun is unforgiving, such efficiency is essential. The toad-headed agama, by contrast, thrives on a different strategy. These stocky lizards, with flattened heads and robust limbs, are built for endurance in the Gobi's extreme temperatures. They spend daylight hours basking on rocks or sand, absorbing heat to fuel their metabolism. When threatened, they employ camouflage and rapid bursts of movement to evade predators. Their diet is opportunistic: ants, beetles, and small invertebrates, allowing them to exploit the most abundant sources of nourishment without direct confrontation. Both snakes and lizards have evolved remarkable adaptations to cope with the desert's extremes. Burrowing beneath the surface protects them from the searing heat and bitter cold. Specialized scales reduce water loss, while efficient kidneys and metabolic strategies allow survival with minimal hydration. Their movements are deliberate. Energy is conserved in a land where every calorie is precious. These reptiles are also integral to the Gobi's broader food web. Birds of prey, foxes, and carnivorous mammals rely on them as a dependable food source. Their presence maintains balance, controlling insect populations, limiting rodent overpopulation, and sustaining predators that in turn regulate herbivores. Life in the Gobi is interdependent, and even these small, seemingly inconspicuous creatures carry the weight of ecological stability. Mines, roads, and expanding grazing lands disrupt their territories and reduce available shelter. Even in the harshness of the desert, survival is never guaranteed, and every strike, every dash, every careful sunning is a calculated gamble. Amphibians are often associated with water-rich environments, yet even in the Gobi Desert, some species have found ways to persist against overwhelming odds. Among them, the Mongolian toad stands as a remarkable example of adaptation, thriving in a land defined by heat, cold, and scarcity of moisture. The Mongolian toad spends much of its life in retreat. During the blistering heat of summer, it burrows deep into sand or soil, seeking refuge from temperatures that can soar beyond human endurance. In winter, when the desert plunges into bone-chilling cold, the toad enters a state of dormancy, insulated by the frozen layers of the earth. Its body is tuned to survive extremes. Water is stored efficiently, skin retains moisture, and metabolism slows to a near standstill. Life for these amphibians revolves entirely around the rare water sources that punctuate the desert. Temporary ponds formed by melting snow or seasonal rainfall become centers of frenzied activity. Males gather and call, their croaks echoing across the barren landscape, seeking mates while the water lasts. Eggs are laid in shallow pools, often hidden among rocks or vegetation, hatching rapidly before the liquid evaporates under the relentless sun. The tadpoles grow and metamorphose at a remarkable pace, a race against time dictated by the desert itself. The Mongolian toad is not just a survivor, it is a crucial link in the Gobi's fragile ecosystem. These amphibians feed on insects and other invertebrates, controlling populations that could otherwise explode in localized areas. In turn, they are prey for birds, snakes, and small mammals, providing essential nutrition to a variety of predators. Their very existence bridges the gap between the ephemeral water sources and the broader desert community. Even in this arid land, water creates microhabitats of extraordinary life. Around ponds, reeds and grasses flourish briefly, attracting insects, which in turn support frogs and toads. Predators gather at the edges, sensing opportunity in the concentration of life. Life at the smallest scale is often the most astonishing. Beetles, ants, locusts, and other insects thrive where larger animals struggle, surviving temperatures that swing from scorching heat to freezing nights, and enduring conditions that would challenge even the hardiest mammals and reptiles. Darkling beetles, for instance, scuttle across sun-baked sand, their exoskeletons reflecting heat and reducing water loss. Many species have evolved the remarkable ability to collect moisture from morning dew, channeling tiny droplets directly into their bodies. Their movements are deliberate, timed to avoid the sun's most intense rays, yet efficient enough to scavenge seeds, detritus, and decaying matter that forms the foundation of the desert's food web. Ants, the tireless engineers of the desert, construct complex underground colonies that buffer them against extreme temperatures. Inside these subterranean cities, they regulate humidity and temperature, ensuring the survival of the colony, even when the surface becomes lethal. Ants forage with precision, coordinating silently yet effectively to transport food back to the nest. Their small size belies a vast ecological influence. They aerate soil, recycle nutrients, and provide sustenance for lizards, birds, and small mammals that rely on them as a dependable food source. Locusts, while often seen as destructive, are extraordinary survivors. They can endure droughts by entering a state of dormancy, waiting for rains that trigger rapid breeding cycles. When conditions are favorable, their swarms move in astonishing numbers, providing a sudden explosion of biomass that fuels predators across the desert. For a brief period, the Gobi transforms from a land of scarcity into one of abundance, where the tiniest insects support the survival of countless species. The adaptations of these insects are remarkable, not only for their ingenuity, but for their precision. Exoskeletons prevent dehydration. Heat-resistant enzymes allow cellular function at high temperatures. And behavioral strategies, such as burrowing during the day and emerging at dusk, ensure energy is conserved. These tiny creatures thrive in a world where survival demands constant negotiation with the extremes of climate and habitat. Insects are also the linchpins of ecological balance. They serve as pollinators, prey, scavengers, and soil engineers. Without their tireless activity, the desert's fragile web of life would collapse. Each beetle scuttling across sand, each ant carrying a crumb, each locust hopping across sparse vegetation, contributes to the cycles of growth, decay, and sustenance that sustain larger mammals, birds, and reptiles. Beneath the surface of the Gobi Desert and under the cover of night, some of the most patient hunters of the desert come alive. Spiders and scorpions, venomous arachnids perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions, navigate the sand with stealth, relying on patience, timing, and lethal precision to survive. Scorpions, with their segmented tails arched like a bow, are masters of nocturnal hunting. By day, they burrow beneath the sand, avoiding the blistering heat and conserving water. At night, they emerge, their tiny claws scuttling across the terrain as they hunt insects, small lizards, and even the occasional small mammal. Their venom, potent but carefully administered, immobilizes prey efficiently, minimizing risk and energy expenditure. Scorpions are not fast in pursuit, but excel in ambush, waiting motionless for hours until the unsuspecting prey comes within striking distance. Desert spiders display an equally impressive arsenal of adaptations. Many species construct burrows or webs to trap insects, while others, like the hunting spider, roam the sand with silent agility, sensing vibrations through the ground. Their exoskeletons limit water loss, and specialized behaviors, such as remaining underground during extreme heat, allow them to thrive where survival is a delicate balance. Some spiders exhibit intricate hunting strategies, waiting for the perfect moment to leap or pounce, their precision honed by evolutionary necessity. These arachnids are also vital contributors to the Gobi ecosystem. By preying on insects and small animals, they help regulate populations that could otherwise overwhelm the limited resources of the desert. In turn, they become food for birds, small mammals, and even other arachnids, linking multiple levels of the food web in an intricate dance of survival. Every scorpion sting and spider bite is part of the desert's carefully orchestrated balance, a reminder that even the smallest creatures play indispensable roles. For scorpions and spiders, movement is calculated. Every step risks exposure to predators or the sun's deadly rays. By minimizing activity during the day and hunting strategically at night, these arachnids conserve precious energy and water, demonstrating a level of ecological efficiency unmatched by many larger animals. Amid the vast stretches of sand and stone, the Gobi Desert is not entirely barren. Life clings stubbornly to the soil in the form of sparse vegetation, saxaul trees, drought-resistant shrubs, and tough perennial plants that endure extremes of heat, cold, and scarce water. Though seemingly insignificant, these plants are the backbone of survival for the desert's wildlife, providing food, shade, and protection against the relentless winds. The saxaul tree is perhaps the most iconic of the desert's flora. With thick fibrous roots that reach deep into the subsoil, it extracts water from layers inaccessible to most other plants. Its branches and leaves provide critical shelter for small mammals, birds, and insects, offering respite from both the punishing sun and frigid winds. For rodents, lizards, and insects, the saxaul is a mobile ecosystem in miniature, a living fortress in a land where cover is rare. Drought-resistant shrubs, including species like wormwood and saltwort, dominate the plains and stony ridges. Their tough, leathery leaves minimize water loss, while their roots prevent soil erosion during sudden desert storms. These plants form scattered patches of greenery, sustaining herbivores such as gazelles, Bactrian camels, and rodents. In an environment where water is scarce, every leaf, every root is a lifeline, supporting not only individual animals, but the broader food web that depends on them. The sparse vegetation also stabilizes the desert's fragile soil. Without it, winds would sweep the sand and dust across the plains, eroding habitats and exposing animals to even harsher conditions. Plants act as natural anchors, holding the terrain together, creating microhabitats that shelter nests, burrows, and temporary pools of water. They transform the desert from a uniform expanse of danger into a mosaic of opportunities for survival. Vegetation also shapes the behavior of wildlife. Animals congregate near saxaul groves or shrub clusters during the heat of the day, resting in shade or foraging under the cover of plants. Predators often use these patches strategically, lying in ambush for unsuspecting prey. Even migratory birds seek the scattered greenery as a source of food and shelter during their stopovers, making sparse vegetation critical not only for permanent residents, but for transient visitors as well. But overgrazing by livestock, climate change, and desertification reduce their numbers, destabilizing habitats and threatening the delicate balance of life in the Gobi. Protecting this sparse vegetation is essential, for it is not merely greenery, it is the structural and ecological foundation upon which the desert's survival depends. The Gobi Desert is often imagined as an endless sea of sand and rock, yet beneath its austere surface lies the potential for sudden, breathtaking transformation. When seasonal rains arrive, the desert awakens in a fleeting spectacle of life, a sudden burst of flowers and grasses that blankets the plains in color and vitality. These ephemeral grasslands are a critical lifeline for the Gobi's herbivores, and the timing of their bloom dictates the rhythms of survival across the desert. Following rare and unpredictable rainfall, seeds buried in the sand for months or even years germinate almost simultaneously. Delicate flowers in hues of violet, yellow, and white erupt across the plains, forming carpets of color that ripple with the desert breeze. Small shrubs and grasses, previously dormant, shoot green shoots toward the sun, absorbing every drop of moisture before the soil dries once again. This rapid growth is a marvel of adaptation, a testament to life's persistence even in one of Earth's harshest climates. For the herbivores of the Gobi, the seasonal bloom is both a feast and a challenge. Goitered and Mongolian gazelles, Bactrian camels, and smaller mammals move across the plains in search of these short-lived pastures. They graze intensely, taking advantage of the nutritional bounty before the desert reclaims it. The bloom sustains them, replenishing energy reserves and allowing for reproduction, migration, and survival during leaner times. Every flower and blade of grass becomes a vital resource, a tangible connection between climate, flora, and fauna. The arrival of greenery also signals a shift in predator-prey dynamics. Predators, from wolves to foxes and raptors, follow the movements of herbivores, exploiting the sudden concentration of potential meals. The temporary abundance amplifies life's drama. A gazelle grazing among flowers may seem serene, yet the predator is never far, patience and stealth dictating the flow of survival. In this brief window, the desert transforms from an arena of scarcity to one of opportunity, where each species, large or small, participates in the desert's intricate food web. Grasslands created by seasonal rains also play a crucial ecological role. They prevent soil erosion, enhance water retention, and provide habitat for insects, birds, and small mammals. Even after the rains cease and the bloom fades, the seeds left behind lie in wait, prepared for the next rare precipitation event. This cyclical resilience ensures the continuity of life, demonstrating that the Gobi's harshness is counterbalanced by moments of surprising generosity. Every creature, from the smallest insect to the apex predators, is linked through survival, competition, and cooperation. Plants, herbivores, predators, and scavengers form an interconnected system in which each participant depends on others for sustenance, shelter, and continuity. At the foundation of this system are the desert's sparse plants, saxaul trees, drought-resistant shrubs, and ephemeral grasses. They stabilize the soil, conserve water, and provide food for herbivores. Goitered gazelles nibble on tough shrubs. Bactrian camels browse on saxaul branches. Insects feed on leaves and flowers. These plants are not passive participants. They determine the movement and behavior of the herbivores, influencing where predators hunt and where scavengers wait. Herbivores, in turn, are both consumers and facilitators. By grazing, they prevent overgrowth in concentrated areas, aid in seed dispersal, and create paths that smaller animals and insects use for navigation. Yet they are always at risk. The Gobi's predators, snow leopards, wolves, eagles, and raptors, rely on these herbivores for sustenance. Predators regulate herbivore populations, preventing any single species from overwhelming the limited resources of the desert. Each kill sustains not only the hunter but also scavengers, from vultures to crows, completing the cycle of energy flow in the ecosystem. Even the scavengers, often overlooked, play a critical role. By consuming carcasses, they prevent disease, recycle nutrients, and ensure that no energy is wasted. Insects, rodents, and arachnids also participate, feeding on leftover organic matter and serving as prey for birds and reptiles. The desert's web of life is a series of interdependencies. The survival of one group often depends on the success of another. Water sources, seasonal blooms, and microhabitats add another layer of connectivity. Amphibians, migratory birds, and insects exploit temporary ponds. Plants flourish after rainfall, attracting herbivores. Predators follow the shifts in prey abundance. Even ephemeral events ripple through the ecosystem, influencing behavior and survival across species. This web is fragile. Disturbances such as overgrazing, habitat destruction, or climate fluctuations can cascade through the system, impacting plants, herbivores, and predators alike. Yet the resilience of the Gobi's wildlife demonstrates the strength of interconnection. Despite harsh conditions, life persists, adapts, and evolves, each species fulfilling its role in the ongoing drama of survival. Temperatures swing from searing heat during the day to freezing cold at night, water is scarce, and food is unpredictable. To endure, the desert's animals have evolved a remarkable array of adaptations, each a finely tuned response to the harshness of their environment. Water conservation is perhaps the most critical adaptation. Bactrian camels, the icons of the Gobi, can drink saline water and survive for weeks without fresh water, storing fat in their humps that can be metabolized into both energy and moisture. Small mammals such as jerboas and pikas extract nearly all their required hydration from the seeds and vegetation they consume, their kidneys efficient at minimizing water loss. Even insects, like darkling beetles, employ unique mechanisms to harvest moisture from morning dew, ensuring that every available drop is utilized. Burrowing is another essential strategy. Many species, from scorpions and spiders to small rodents and toad-headed agamas, create underground shelters to escape extreme surface temperatures. Burrows provide insulation against both heat and cold, conserve moisture, and offer protection from predators. These subterranean refuges are often elaborate, with multiple chambers for nesting, food storage, and escape routes, demonstrating an impressive level of engineering for such small creatures. Nocturnal activity is a complementary adaptation. Many of the Gobi's inhabitants, including snakes, scorpions, foxes, and certain rodents, shift their activity patterns to nighttime, avoiding the daytime heat. Darkness offers both safety and opportunity. Predators can hunt while minimizing water loss, and prey species exploit reduced visibility to forage under cover. The desert's nights, though cold, provide a window for survival in a landscape where the sun is unforgiving. Other adaptations are subtler, but no less important. Camouflage allows predators and prey alike to blend seamlessly with sand, rocks, and sparse vegetation. Seasonal migrations and movements follow patterns dictated by resource availability, ensuring that animals are in the right place at the right time. Reproductive timing is also attuned to environmental cues. Many species breed when water and vegetation are most abundant, ensuring the survival of the next generation. Even behavioral strategies are critical. Social structures, such as wolf packs or rodent colonies, increase hunting efficiency, provide protection, and facilitate food sharing. Opportunistic feeding allows animals to exploit whatever is available, from seeds and insects to carrion and small mammals. Every decision, from movement to hunting, is shaped by the constant calculation between energy expenditure and survival. The Gobi Desert is a land defined by extremes. While its scorching summers test the endurance of every living creature, its winters can be equally, if not more, lethal. Seasonal extremes shape the rhythm of life here, demanding adaptability, resilience, and foresight from every species that calls this desert home. Winter in the Gobi is dominated by the dzud, the Mongolian term for harsh snow-covered winters that follow dry summers. Layers of ice and snow can blanket the plains, making it nearly impossible for herbivores to find food. Goitered gazelles, Bactrian camels, and other ungulates must dig through deep snow to reach buried vegetation, while smaller mammals retreat into burrows to conserve warmth and energy. Predators such as wolves and snow leopards respond accordingly, adjusting their hunting strategies to follow weakened or concentrated prey. Even insects and amphibians enter dormant states, relying on stored energy and shelter to survive months of frigid inactivity. Summer presents a contrasting challenge. The heat is relentless, water is scarce, and the sun can parch the land for weeks. Herbivores like the Bactrian camel must travel long distances in search of sparse vegetation and water sources. Rodents and lizards retreat to burrows or shaded crevices, emerging only at night to forage. Insects exploit dew or temporary puddles, while reptiles bask briefly before retreating to conserve moisture. Water scarcity is so severe that even temporary ponds and seasonal wetlands become vital lifelines, dictating movement and behavior across the desert. Animals cope with these extremes through a combination of physiological and behavioral adaptations. Hibernation and torpor allow small mammals, amphibians, and reptiles to survive long periods without food or water. Fat storage in camels provides energy and hydration during lean months. Migration patterns, whether of gazelles or birds, follow predictable cycles of resource availability, ensuring that species are in the right place at the right time. Even predator-prey interactions are influenced by the seasons. Weakened herbivores during winter become easier targets, while summer heat drives nocturnal activity, altering hunting patterns. The Gobi's plants are equally affected by seasonal extremes. Saxaul trees, drought-resistant shrubs, and ephemeral grasses survive harsh winters and scorching summers through deep roots, water storage, and dormancy. These adaptations, in turn, support herbivores, insects, and the broader ecosystem, demonstrating the interdependence of life, even under extreme stress. In this unforgiving environment, survival is a constant negotiation with the elements. Life in the Gobi is a testament to resilience and ingenuity. Each species, from the smallest insect to the apex predator, must adapt not only to predation and competition, but to the cyclical extremes of temperature and precipitation. Winter blizzards and summer droughts are not just seasonal events. They are the ultimate tests of endurance, shaping behavior, survival strategies, and the very structure of the desert ecosystem. In the Gobi Desert, survival is a game of wits, speed, and precision. The balance between predator and prey shapes every movement, every behavior, and every adaptation. Predators rely on sharp senses, stealth, and teamwork, while prey species evolve camouflage, agility, and vigilance to stay one step ahead. The desert is a theater of constant tension, where life and death play out in relentless cycles. Snow leopards, the apex predators of the Gobi Mountains, exemplify the art of stealth. Their mottled coats blend seamlessly with rocky terrain, rendering them nearly invisible as they stalk ibex or wild goats. They rely on acute hearing and vision, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. A miscalculation can mean energy wasted and a missed meal, so every strike is calculated with precision, honed by evolution. Wolves, in contrast, demonstrate the power of teamwork. Packs coordinate their hunts, using strategic positioning to corner gazelles or other herbivores. Communication is key. Body language, vocalizations, and subtle cues allow individuals to anticipate one another's movements. Herding prey into vulnerable positions is a result of cooperation, intelligence, and relentless endurance. Even when a hunt fails, the pack shares resources and maintains bonds essential for future survival. For prey, speed is often the first line of defense. Mongolian gazelles, capable of sprinting at high speeds across the desert plains, rely on rapid bursts and unpredictable zigzag patterns to evade predators. Camouflage further enhances survival. Sandy-colored coats blend with dunes, making it difficult for predators to spot individuals in motion or at rest. Many herbivores also adopt group strategies, forming herds where multiple eyes and ears increase the chances of early detection of predators. Even smaller animals participate in this constant dance of survival. Rodents, lizards, and insects have evolved keen senses and quick reflexes to escape both arachnids and birds of prey. Their movements are precise, minimizing exposure while maximizing efficiency, ensuring that even the tiniest creatures have a fighting chance. Predators prevent herbivore overpopulation, while prey innovations drive further evolution in hunting strategies. Each success and failure reverberates across the desert ecosystem, shaping both species and landscape. Camouflage hides the vulnerable, cooperation empowers hunters, and agility allows prey to exploit even fleeting opportunities. Amid the vast emptiness of the Gobi Desert, humans have carved out a life of endurance and adaptability. Nomadic herders, following traditions passed down for centuries, traverse this unforgiving landscape with their livestock, yaks, goats, and sheep, forming a complex relationship with the wildlife that shares the desert. Their existence is a delicate balance of symbiosis and conflict, a reflection of survival strategies that mirror those of the animals around them. Livestock are the herder's lifeblood, providing milk, meat, wool, and transportation. Yaks endure the frigid winters, grazing on sparse vegetation and trekking across rocky terrain. Goats and sheep exploit the desert's drought-resistant shrubs and grasses, often reaching areas inaccessible to larger animals. The movements of these herds influence the desert ecosystem. Grazing patterns shape plant distribution, while the presence of livestock can affect predator behavior. Wolves, snow leopards, and foxes often assess whether to target wild prey or livestock, and herders respond with vigilance, guarding animals and deploying protective dogs. Despite potential conflict, a form of ecological symbiosis exists. Herders' camps can create microhabitats for wildlife. Discarded vegetation and animal waste enrich the soil, attracting insects that in turn feed birds and small mammals. Grazing sometimes opens patches of land, allowing seasonal plants to flourish, supporting both domesticated and wild herbivores. Even predators benefit indirectly. Scavengers find occasional carcasses from livestock or leftover forage, sustaining their populations during scarce months. Predators occasionally attack livestock, and herders respond to protect their animals, sometimes leading to tension with wildlife. Hunting, fencing, and relocation efforts reduce predator numbers in certain areas, disrupting natural balances. Human expansion into previously undisturbed habitats affects water sources, grazing lands, and migration corridors for wild species, highlighting the delicate equilibrium between survival and stewardship. Herders themselves are masters of adaptation, adjusting movements according to seasonal extremes, vegetation availability, and predator presence. Winter zuds demand strategic relocation to sheltered valleys, while summer droughts push herds toward distant water sources. Their deep knowledge of the land mirrors that of the wildlife they coexist with, recognizing patterns in plant growth, animal behavior, and weather shifts that dictate life in the desert. Nomadic herders are both participants and observers of the wild ecosystem. Their livestock provide sustenance and shape the land, while their presence influences the survival strategies of predators and prey alike. The Gobi Desert, vast and seemingly untouchable, is facing pressures that test the resilience of its wildlife. Poaching, mining, and shrinking habitats are changing the landscape, creating challenges not only for iconic species like snow leopards and Bactrian camels, but for the entire desert ecosystem. The delicate balance of life that has evolved over millennia is now under unprecedented strain. and conservation has become a race against time. Poaching remains one of the greatest threats. Snow leopards, coveted for their fur and bones, are highly vulnerable due to their naturally low population density and elusive behavior. Illegal hunting reduces their numbers further, disrupting predator-prey dynamics and leaving herbivore populations unchecked. Similarly, wild Bactrian camels, already few in number, face threats from hunting and competition with livestock. Their slow reproductive rates mean that even occasional losses can have long-term consequences for population stability. Mining and industrial expansion pose another critical challenge. The Gobi is rich in minerals, and extraction projects disturb fragile habitats, fragment migration corridors, and contaminate water sources. The noise, dust, and machinery displace wildlife, forcing animals into smaller areas and intensifying competition for scarce resources. Plants, which provide the foundation for herbivore survival, are often destroyed or degraded, cascading into broader ecological consequences. Climate change compounds these pressures. Increasingly erratic rainfall, longer droughts, and harsher winters, reduce the availability of vegetation and water. For species already adapted to extremes, these changes push survival strategies to their limits. Migration patterns, breeding cycles, and predator-prey relationships are all affected, demonstrating that even the most resilient desert wildlife cannot remain unaffected by human-induced environmental changes. Conservation efforts, both local and international, are striving to counter these threats. Protected areas and nature reserves have been established to safeguard critical habitats, with anti-poaching patrols and monitoring programs focusing on endangered species. Snow leopard conservation initiatives employ camera traps, community-based programs, and scientific research to better understand population dynamics and reduce human-wildlife conflicts. Similarly, efforts to protect wild Bactrian camels include habitat protection, population monitoring, and breeding programs to ensure their continued survival. Community engagement is also essential. Nomadic herders, local authorities, and international NGOs collaborate to balance traditional livelihoods with wildlife preservation. Education programs emphasize the importance of sustainable grazing, water conservation, and coexistence with predators, fostering a culture of stewardship among those who live closest to the desert's wildlife. The Gobi Desert, a vast and ancient wilderness, bears the imprint of human activity. On one hand, poaching, mining, and habitat destruction have left scars on the landscape and disrupted fragile ecosystems. Snow leopards face declining numbers due to illegal hunting, while wild Bactrian camels and other species compete with livestock for limited vegetation and water. Mining operations fragment habitats, contaminate water sources, and drive wildlife away from traditional migration routes. Even subtle disturbances, such as overgrazing or unregulated tourism, ripple through the desert, affecting plants, herbivores, and predators alike. The Gobi Desert endures because of its resilience and the adaptability of the creatures that inhabit it. However, its survival is no longer guaranteed by nature alone. How long this extraordinary ecosystem thrives will depend on the choices we make, the care we take, and the responsibility we accept toward the land and its inhabitants. The Gobi Desert endures, but for how long? That will depend on us. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments section below, and if this journey across the Gobi left you curious, don't forget to check out the wilderness of Bengal tigers, majestic, fierce, and unforgettable.